Mentioned this right before the break. This IRS story continues to get hot by the moment. Republican Trey Gowdy from South Carolina asking the panelists the following questions only moments ago. The headline so far today is that the witnesses claim that the targeting has not stopped. Here's Gowdy. Watch.
Did you hear the president say there was not a smidgen of corruption?
I've heard that he said that, yes, sir.
Ms. Garrison, did you hear the president say there was not a smidgen of corruption? And let me just translate that, because smidgen's not a legal term. I assume he meant scintilla, and I assume he meant criminality instead of corruption. How was he able to make that conclusion? Neither of you have been interviewed by the Bureau, have you?
No, sir.
And according to Mr. Sekulow, of his 41 clients, 3 have been interviewed, or 3 were asked to be interviewed.
Right. Not interviewed yet.
Okay. 0 of 41 have actually been interviewed.
Correct.
All right. So the president says there's not a smidgen of criminality or corruption. Do either of you remember seeing a witness named Lois Lerner sitting at the very table y'all are sitting at? Do you remember her invoking her Fifth Amendment privilege, the same privilege that she targeted some of your groups for trying to educate people about? Some of your groups just want to simply educate people about the Constitution, the one that she availed herself of the very second she was exposed to criminal investigation. So how can the president say there's not a smidgen of criminality when Lois Lerner invoked the Fifth Amendment? 41 witnesses haven't been interviewed, including the 2 that are here right now. How can he possibly draw that conclusion?
That from moments ago. With me now, former New York Senator Alphonse D'Amato and a Fox News contributor. And nice to see you again. I know you've been watching the twists and turns of this story. It seems to have gone to another level just in the last hour. Well, what do you make of it?
Well, apparently there are a trail of emails which would seem to contradict the fact that, oh, this wasn't coordinated and there was no real attempt to look at various groups because of their political persuasion. And the evidence that we've seen, or the facts, some of the facts that we've seen, just the people who have been harassed, would seem to indicate that this really calls for a real investigation.
But if Gowdy's right, okay, and 41 of these alleged targeted groups have not even been talked to, what does that suggest?
A cover-up. It's a cover-up. It's just that simple. It's just that we just let the time go by and hope that no one comes back. And because you have to be mindlessly persistent if you're going to get to the bottom of this. And most people don't have the time, the inclination, and even those in government to continue this. And the media, for the most part, has just dropped it. They've walked away.
So if you have not been talked to, and you believe you have an allegation, and you believe you've been targeted, but nobody has asked you questions, that would suggest that the investigation is not being taken seriously.
Correct. Which suggests that there is no real investigation going on, and that there's an attempt to just kill this by delay, obfuscate. And that's how they're doing it.
Is that, Senator, is that possible?
Oh, yeah. If you have a Justice Department that does not want to get to the bottom of this because they do not want to uncover. And by the way, I'd give Lois Lerner immunity. They should call her back, the congressional committee, if they really want to get to the bottom of this, because you're not really after her as such.
You're looking for the
you want to get the
information.
Facts. And who is the person who ordered this, and how did this come about? So bring her back. Fellows down there, my colleagues, my former colleagues in government, if you want to, bring her back. Give her immunity from prosecution and get the facts.
That seems like a likelihood now, doesn't it?
Well, that's what they should have done before. They shouldn't have allowed this to linger out there.
From Sunday afternoon, Bill O'Reilly, President Obama on corruption.
But you're saying there was no corruption there at all? No.
That's not what I'm saying. That's actually...
No, but I want to know what you're saying. You're the leader of the country. You're saying no corruption?
No.
None?
No. There were some boneheaded decisions out of a
but
local
no
office.
Mass corruption.
Not even mass corruption, not even a smidgen of corruption.
That was 4 days ago. Do we now see that in a different light based on what we've heard today or not?
Let me say, it is generally the cover-up that is worse than the deed. And the corruption, if any, is this failure to get to the bottom of this. It is the failure to say who did what and why. And that's the bad problem here. The bad problem is we have the Justice Department that is not pursuing this. And if there's nothing there, and if there were boneheaded decisions made by XYZ, get it out.
Could it just be boneheaded? Would you chalk it up to that?
I would say that
smelling more smoke than some others?
Well, what I believe is these groups were targeted. Now, what laws are they breaking when you use the IRS to target people for political purposes? That's the question. Is that a violation of law? It certainly is an abuse of power, and it should be exposed.
Thank you, Senator. Alphonse D'Amato with us in studio. Nice to see you.
Bill, good to be with you.
You bet.